So everything that happened in April was truly setting us up for the shift, for the changes, for the transformation that we're going to have to take action on in the month of May. Welcome back, Astro fam. It's me, Mandy Rose, your relational astrologer, and we have a whole lot to cover in today's Astro Weather Forecast video for the month of May. May has a lot of shifts going on. We have 6 planets moving into different zodiac signs, into different energies. We have 13 overlying major astrological weather events. The beginning of the month is dramatically different from the second half of the month. I was not kidding when I said at the beginning of the year in my Astro Forecast video that by the time we get to the end of May, it's going to feel like we lived an entire year. So do not be surprised if we make it to the end of the month and you're looking around and you're saying, oh my gosh, is it 2024 yet? Because I'm exhausted. We are going to be picking up retrograde energy this month with Pluto entering his retrograde. And then as we get into the month of June, July, August, September, we are going to be increasing planetary retrograde energy. So don't worry, there's going to be lots of time towards the middle and the end of this year where we get to slow down, go back over things, retrograde and redo things. So this month is really about making the shift, making the adjustment, and to start moving forward in the direction of our passion. We'll talk all about that in this video. I want to give you a little overview. If you're new to me, welcome. I like to take the lens of astrology to help you have better relationships, first being the one with yourself, and better relationships with other people. And of course, we can do that by understanding your unique birth chart, but here in these monthly overview videos, we're going to do that by understanding the current astro weather. And by understanding the current astro weather, you're going to be able to give other people grace and patience along with yourself because you know what's going on out there in the world. So for this video, the way the format goes is we are going to first do a monthly overview so you can understand what you can anticipate and expect at large throughout the month of May. We're going to preface it a little bit with what went on in April and what we can expect moving on into June and the summer months. If you have your 2023 Astrology Retrograde Journal, you're going to want to grab it for this video, open it up to page 35, which is the month of May, the calendar overview. The page before that is a notes section, so you can go ahead and take notes from this video. Now, I'm going to first go through each planet one by one, sharing what the journey of each planet is. You can also go ahead and grab your birth chart because I'm going to give you the specific degree points that each planet is moving through in the sky in respective zodiac signs. So you can compare that to your chart to see if, let's say, Saturn is moving over somewhere specific in your chart. That might be a Saturn lesson you're learning at this time. Now, of course, I can dive deeper into that in a personal birth chart reading with you, but this video is going to give you at least a preview or a highlight or overview of energy that you can specifically anticipate depending on your birth chart. So you might want to grab that as well for this video. So like I mentioned, we're going to go through each planet one by one, understanding what lesson they're trying to teach us, what their journey is this month, what conversations they're having with the other life coach planets, so the energy that we can also feel within our relationships. And then after we're done talking about all the planets, we will then go into a calendar date by date breakdown. So at that point, like I said, you can have your calendar open. You may already have dates planned in the month of May. And so during that date by date breakdown, you can see what energy you can anticipate or look forward to or forecast to work with around the time of the events that you have planned in the month of May. Feel free to skip ahead to the timestamps if you're looking for a specific planet, or maybe you're looking for a specific date. You will find all of that down in the description box below, along with a link to purchase your Astrology Retrograde Journal and to book a birth chart reading with me if you're wanting to dive into this information a little bit deeper based on your unique birth chart. Okay, so let's go ahead with all that being said and starting out with the monthly overview. This month, there is a lot of shifts. 6 planets moving into new zodiac signs. Those 6 planets are not up here on the chart. The ones that we see up here on the chart are the ones that are fixed, that are stuck in their energies, that are teaching us lessons that are longer to learn. So I will be putting up those planets shortly. That is going to be the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. All of our personal planets. So directly impacting us. This is why at the beginning of the month, these 6 planets are going to be in one energy, and by the end of the month, they're going to be in a different energy. So feeling dramatically different overall. Now, as we start out the month, we are starting out with the middle of eclipse energy. Remembering we had the first eclipse in the month of April on 4/20, and the next one respectively is coming up on May 5th. So as we start out May 1st, we are in the middle of this ecliptic energy, in the middle of the shift, in the middle of the change. So starting out with this eclipse volatility, remembering the eclipses deal with the nodes of destiny. They are fated for us. Things in your life are shifting and changing, whether you like it or not. So working and flowing through eclipse energy is very important. In addition to that, we are also in the middle of a Mercury retrograde as we move into the beginning of May. Mercury on May 1st will be in his Kazimi, which means he runs into the sun, which marks the halfway point of a Mercury retrograde. So starting out the month, eclipse energy, starting out with retrograde energy, and also on the 1st of the month, Pluto kicks off his retrograde as well. So we will dive into all of that in the planet by planet breakdown and the date by date breakdown. So we are really starting out the month heavy, erratic, spontaneous, volatile, a little bit with our free will tied. So it's going to be a challenging beginning. Now we're going to get to the middle of the month and things are going to smooth out a little bit. We get to a beautiful new moon in the zodiac energy of Taurus on the 20th. We also have some beautiful alignments with Jupiter moving into the energy of Taurus. So beautiful shifts kind of in the middle of the month. And then when we get to the 20th, we've got Mars moving into the energy of Leo. Fire energy, passion energy, dramatic energy. And Mars will be having a lot of challenging conversations with Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter and the nodes of destiny. So a lot of getting back into our chi and our stamina and our drive and our warrior and our passion, all that Mars stuff. So the 13 major astrological events happening this month are all happening before the 23rd. So in 23 short days, all of this energy is going to play out. And by the time we get to the end of the month, things are going to smooth out. We are going to be on track. We've made decisions. We've shifted. We've spiked in the area of our lives that we've needed to make decisions on. We move forward. We have a clearer path. And so as we move into June, it's going to feel a lot more gentle, a lot more calm, especially considering what we've been through since the beginning of the astrological new year in March. Now, with this tumultuous energy, we want to make sure that we're not making any major decisions, especially the first 2 weeks of the month of May. One, because of that Mercury retrograde. Two, because the eclipses, and you might have to circle back around because maybe you didn't make a decision that was aligned with your destiny. And third of all, because Venus is in a square to Neptune. So we're going to dive into that, but that is a lot of deception, illusion, fantasy, rose-colored glasses, foggy haziness. Like we're not seeing things clearly, especially in relationships. So just be very cautious and careful if you have to make a decision that you're really taking your time and you're feeling through the decision with your intuition, because Mars is in Cancer. So Mars, how we take action, how we make decisions, is in the energy of our intuition. So be careful of that as we move through the middle of the month. After the middle of the month, like I said, we're going to get a lot more green lights, things are going to get a lot more clear, and it will be a lot easier to follow your passion with Mars moving into Leo. Now, another thing I kind of want to bring up at the beginning of the month, the first 2 weeks, we're going to have a lot of things hidden or eclipsed or buried. And that is because one, when Mercury retrogrades, it is backing up into the sun, meaning as a planet in the sky, the star that we see of Mercury goes behind the sun. And so we can no longer see him. Mercury is our mind. So the messages, the communication, the conversation, things are being buried, things are being secretive, they're being hidden behind things. So be careful with that. And when we deal with eclipses, specifically the one happening on May 5th, we're talking about a full moon eclipse, a lunar eclipse. And what happens during a full moon eclipse? Well, a normal full moon, you would go outside at night, and it's normally dark at night, but not when we have a full moon. You're able to see and things are illuminated in the night sky. But when there's an eclipse, it's like all of a sudden where you can see clearly at night, it gets dark again and things are being eclipsed or hidden again, brought behind something. So we are going to have a lot of this secrecy, things not being revealed, things being buried, things being kind of stuffed behind. So you're not going to see clearly. You're not going to honestly know what's going on. So don't take anything for surface value. There's going to be more information, more things buried behind whatever is going on in your life, and just give it time. That is the most beautiful thing with astrology, is this is a cycle. And sometimes we want to rush and make things happen, but sometimes things take time. So the beginning of the month is going to force you to slow down. Also, we are going to have to practice present moment awareness and being here in our physical reality, because lots of planets are moving through the energy of Taurus, and Taurus is slow and steady wins the race. Jupiter will be entering Taurus for an entire year. And Jupiter brings expansion and blessing and growth. And when he is in Taurus, we are in our physical reality. Taurus deals with Mother Nature, deals with the earth, deals with our body. And so I cannot even begin to describe how important it's going to be with implementing changes in your physical reality that allows you to be slower and more present and to build things steadily instead of rushing through life. Also, another highlighting overview of the month, the lesson we should be learning at this time is Saturn is in Pisces. I have a whole separate video on this, so you definitely want to check that out because Saturn will be in Pisces until 2025, and Saturn is Lord Karma and our disciplinarian and constantly trying to teach us lessons. So Saturn in Pisces is all about the energy, learning Saturn's lessons, having discipline, structure, commitment, routine, and boundaries to put things in a nice box to have a solid foundation to build upon. And in Pisces deals with the spiritual aspects of our life, our belief systems. It deals with our mental health and our emotional bodies, our subconscious beliefs and our limitations, our self-sabotage, like all these programs that run in the background that create our reality. And so Saturn, as he's in Pisces, is trying to teach us to rest, to nourish ourselves, to pay attention to how our physical body is affected by our mental body, to balance your auras and your chakras, to really pay attention to your spiritual health. Are you having commitments and routines around whatever your spiritual practice is? Because trust me, as Saturn is gearing up for his retrograde, which begins in June, he is really giving you an opportunity to step into these lessons on your own before he has to teach you the hard way, Lord Karma. So this month is busy, busy, busy. There are shifts and changes, 13 dramatic astrological weather events, 6 planets moving into new energies, eclipses and retrogrades, and so much going on that this Saturn in Pisces lesson is the prime opportunity to put it to the test and to show Lord Karma that you got this, so that after his retrograde, you get the reward, not the punishment. So know by the end of the month, the dust will truly settle. We will move into June where things will be a lot more calm considering what we've just been through. And when we get into July and August and September, things will ramp up. There's a lot of energy going on in Leo, but that's going to be beautiful. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be expressive. It's going to be us stepping into our truth, our authenticity, into our hearts. And so it will be a lot of energy, but not as chaotic as what we're dealing with this month. So the dust will settle. So that is the monthly overview. So with that, let's go ahead and start breaking things down planet by planet so you can have a better understanding of this energy in its entirety. So I usually start out with the sun, but we're actually going to work backwards at this time because I want to talk about the planets first that are parked and that are going to be here in their same zodiac sign for the entire month. So go ahead and grab out your birth chart. I'm going to give you the degree points of each zodiac sign so you can look in your chart to see if you have anything falling over these placements. Now, starting out with Pluto. Pluto is now in the energy of Aquarius. He is at 0 degrees of Aquarius and he will be parked there for the entire month. So he entered Aquarius back in March. And Pluto has not been in Aquarius since 1777. So no one alive has ever experienced this energy. We are the first, and we've been feeling it now for about 6 weeks. Now, as he's been in the energy of Capricorn, he was there for 15 years, and he's not quite done wrapping up what he needs to finish over in Capricorn. So at the beginning of this month, on May 1st, Pluto will kick off the month with a retrograde, meaning he is going from 0 degrees of Aquarius, where he just entered, to peek in, say hello, give us an insight as to what we can anticipate for the next 20 years as he transits very slowly through Aquarius. But then he's going to start retrograding back to Capricorn, where he's going to finish the rest of the year in that energy, wrapping up those final lessons. Now, remembering Pluto is P for power. Pluto is the god of the underworld, so his responsibility to us as a life coach is to dredge up and unearth things that have been buried beneath the surface. So he deals with things like power, control, and manipulation, secrets, lies, jealousy, and obsession, all these things that like we don't like to acknowledge, but they truly exist in our reality. And so, you know, Pluto, when he is retrograding, it's an energy that's slow moving. We're having to go back and unearth things. Things have to come to light. The skeletons have to come out of the closet. We got to do some dusting so that that area can be transformed. Pluto is very much about transformation, death, and renewal and rejuvenation. So that is an energy that he will start embodying as he retrogrades. Now, he will be a key player with the other life coaches this month because he will be in a conversation with Mars and a conversation with Jupiter. So he will be a big player this month. So we will talk more about when that's going to occur in the date-by-date breakdown. Then we're going to talk about Neptune. Neptune is in the energy of Pisces. He's been here for a very long time, and he's at the tail end of his journey in Pisces. He will leave Pisces in 2026 side by side with Saturn when Saturn catches up to him, but that's a whole nother conversation for another date. So Neptune is at 26 degrees of Pisces, and he will only move to 27 degrees. Not a major move here. But like I said, Neptune is going to play a key role in his conversation with Venus this month, being in those later degrees of Pisces when Venus is in the later degrees of Gemini in a square. Then he will be giving a little bit of fogginess and haziness and illusion and rose-colored glasses to our relationships, making us kind of see people in a light that may not truly exist. So we have to be cautious with that. Now, since Neptune has been in Pisces for a very long time, this is his home sign, he is comfortable here. Now, Saturn has just shown up in Pisces, so let's move on to Saturn. Saturn moved into Pisces back in March, and he will be retrograding here starting out in June. At the beginning of the month, Saturn is at 5 degrees of Pisces, and at the end of the month, he will only move to 6 degrees. So not a big movement for him this month. But like I said, once he gets to 7 degrees in June, that is where he's going to retrograde. So he is gearing up to retrograde. Saturn is our energy of our tough love dad. Did you do your homework? Are you being responsible? What are you committed to? Do you have boundaries? Do you have structure in your life? Do you have routines and rules and implementations to have a strong, solid foundation on? So he's always checking us. He's always teaching us lessons. He's always challenging us to grow. And as he's moved into Pisces, this is the area of our life where he's going to challenge us until 2025. And this is just the beginning. He just got here. So as he's gearing up for his retrograde, anything that's happening in our life right now, we're going to have to go back over and redo and implement that to make our life stronger. Remembering Pisces deals with our spirituality, our energetic body, our mental health, anything behind the scenes. So be very careful this month as Saturn is learning that lesson. And he's also going to be in a conversation with all the planets moving through Gemini. So the Sun and currently Venus and Mercury coming up. So he's going to be active in teaching us a lot of lessons. Then we're going to move on down here into Taurus, talking about Uranus. Uranus is the rebel and the revolutionary, sudden jolting change, and he is highly activated this month because he's in the energy of Taurus. This is where the eclipse is happening. This is where Mercury is retrograding. This is where the sun currently is. We also have the north node of destiny currently moving out of this energy. So Uranus, the rebel and the revolutionary, shakes things up. Suddenly, swiftly, unexpectedly. His energy is electric, like a lightning bolt. It's very erratic. It can be like, oh my gosh, that really just happened? But his purpose is always to move us into the future. He's like, next, next, next. Choose change before I choose it for you. That is really his motto. And so that is what's causing a lot of this erratic and volatile, chaotic energy this month, because Uranus is involved with a lot of these major astrological weather events. So something to pay attention to. He also does not move very fast this month. He goes from 18 degrees of Taurus to 20 degrees of Taurus. Uranus has been parked here since 2019 and will stay in Taurus until 2026. So you're going to want to know in your birth chart, where is Taurus, especially this month, because wherever Taurus lies in your chart, that is an area of life that is being impacted by Uranus for this many number of years, sudden jolting change. You're going to get a little bit of this north node ecliptic energy. We're going to have a new moon here in Taurus on the 20th. We have Mercury retrograding here. The sun is going to move through this energy. So you're going to want to know where Taurus is in your chart. If you need help looking that up, or you want to do a mini birth chart reading, just talking about May's astro weather, I love to dive in with mini readings. So you can again book that in the description box below. So Uranus, sudden jolting change, shocking us into the next future of our life, opening up the next chapter. So we will talk more about him when we get to the date-by-date breakdown. And we can see here that the north node of destiny is also right here with Uranus in the energy of Taurus. This is where all the eclipses have been occurring since November of 2021. So we've been talking about the eclipse cycle of Taurus and Scorpio. This is wrapping up because we are having our final eclipse in the energy on the Scorpio side of this axis on May 5th, and the final eclipse on the Taurus side of the axis will not happen until the fall. But these actual specific nodes of destiny, the North Star, the North Node, and the South Node of Karma over here in Scorpio, are on their way out. At the beginning of the month of May, they are at 3 degrees of Taurus and 3 degrees of Scorpio, and by the end of the month, they shift to 2 degrees of Taurus and 2 degrees of Scorpio. North and the South Node move retrograde all the time, so they are always going backward through every single zodiac sign. So this is the final degree, the final chapter of Taurus and Scorpio energy, destined fated events in Taurus, clearing, releasing, and letting go in Scorpio. So that's an energy we can look forward to, and by the time we get to July, they officially move into Aries and Libra. Now, we've already begun the Aries and Libra eclipse cycle with that new moon eclipse on 4/20 last month, but the nodes of destiny are still technically in Taurus and Scorpio, so it was an out of sign eclipse, and so the energy in Aries and Libra as far as the eclipses and changes will get more prominent as we move through the summer over the course of the next 18 months. So again, a whole nother video, but just know that the shifting of the nodes is currently underway, and they're in their final energy in Taurus and Scorpio. So now let's get into the planets that are transiting and shifting energies this month, and let's go ahead and start out with the sun. Starting out with the sun, we know that the sun at the beginning of this month is in the zodiac energy of Taurus, so we are in Taurus sun season. It is so important for us to always acknowledge and pay attention to where the sun is, because the sun seasons dictate our astrological year. When the sun moved into the energy of Aries on March 20th, we kicked off the astrological new year. And so Aries is the first month where we take action, we make decisions, we start anew, we act like a toddler under 7 and be bold and brave and fearless and start a new chapter in our life. And then the sun moves into Taurus, the second sun season of the astrological year, where we get to work. It's an earth energy, so it's being practical and rational and sowing the seeds and being patient as we watch things grow. And so you will see here in your Astrology Retrograde journal, I list all the sun seasons for that exact reason. Because if we think about it, when the sun hits our body, we go outside, what do you feel? You feel the energy of the sun. The heat, the life, the vitality, it makes you feel some type of way. And the specific type of way you're going to feel energetically is dependent on what zodiac sign, the lens or the vibe through which the sun is radiating on us. And so as the sun radiates the energy of Taurus on us, it's all about being lavish and luxury. It deals with the physical body. It deals with the earth. So tasting nice things and touching nice things and smelling nice things. And if you've been feeling like you want to be more sensual, you want to be more connected to the earth, you want to slow down. This is why, because the sun has been in the energy of Taurus since April 20th. It's going to last us until May 21st, where the sun moves into the energy of Gemini, starting out a new sun season. So in your retrograde journal, you will see that I give you bucket list ideas, things that you can add to your calendar to maximize and harmonize with the energy of the sun for that sun season. The sun, specifically for the month of May, starts out at 10 degrees of Taurus and goes till 9 degrees of Gemini. So again, look at your chart, see if you have any planets in there. If you have your birthday in the month of May, that means the sun is crossing over that point in your chart. Now, as the sun moves through Taurus, of course, it's going to run into Uranus. And on that day, that is a very volatile day. You have the heat and the intensity of the sun running into the rebel and the revolutionary who wants to shake us awake, who wants to lightning bolt us, catapult us into the next chapter of our life. That date happens on the 9th of May. We'll talk more about that in the date-by-date breakdown, but just know the sun is going to shock us awake and we can expect some volatile energy on that day. Now, as the sun moves into the energy of Gemini, he's also going to have to answer to Saturn. So that is going to be a Saturn-Sun square towards the end of the month. Saturn, the disciplinarian, the sun kind of highlighting and showing us what we need to be more disciplined on, how we need to take more action in a way that is pivotal to creating a healthy, strong foundation. So the sun will deal with Uranus and Saturn this month. So that leads me into talking about the moon. Now the moon transits all zodiac signs within a calendar month. It goes around the entire sky every 28 days. And so that would be a whole lot to talk about in one video, to talk about the moon and every zodiac sign. So we're going to focus on the two lunations of the month, the full moon and the new moon. The full moon is happening on May 5th in the zodiac sign of Scorpio, making it an eclipse. That is the full moon lunar eclipse. I have an entire separate video that I made on this eclipse. So much to talk about with that because it is the final eclipse in the zodiac energy of Scorpio for the next 9 years. And this is something that we've been working through for 18 months since November of 2021. So this is the final purge. When we're dealing with Scorpio, it's like deep, intense energy. And it feels like we just need to release. It's death and rebirth. It's transformation. It's like, I just want to birth myself. I want to be a phoenix rising from the ashes. And this eclipse has been long overdue, truly long overdue. And so I'm just saying the energy of it, overview, is like a purge. You ever like have a belly ache and you just want to throw up and you just know you're going to feel so much better once you let it all out? Yeah, that's this eclipse energy. So you might be having some extreme emotions that need to be purged, some intensity that needs to be released and let go of, but this eclipse is going to let us do just that. So work through this energy, flow through this energy. This chapter is going to be closing. You're going to let go once and for all, cutting off the dead ends of something in your life as we go through the first 2 weeks of May. So go catch that in-depth video where I give you all the do's and don'ts and the breakdown of that eclipse. After we have this eclipse, we get to the middle of the month, the 20th, where we're going to have a new moon and the energy of Taurus. This is going to be a beautiful new moon. It's going to be the middle of the month, like I said, where it kind of just gets a little peaceful for a moment. We have Jupiter that has now moved into the energy of Taurus by the time of this new moon. And Taurus, like I said, deals with sensuality. It deals with our body. It deals with Mother Earth. It deals with being connected to nature. It deals with pleasure and feeling like we can have all that we desire. It deals with abundance and manifestations and making our physical, tangible reality more pleasurable. So I love this new moon, a new beginning. We have not had a new moon or a full moon in the energy of Taurus that hasn't been an eclipse for over 2 years. So this is beautiful to have a new moon in Taurus that's finally not an eclipse anymore. So this is truly a new beginning and a new chapter and a new cycle that we can open up in the Taurus area of your life. Again, depending on your birth chart, what area of your life that falls in is where you're going to get this new beginning. Talking about this area of life, we have to bring up Mercury. Now, Mercury is the messenger. It looks like he has little wings at the top of his head. He looks so similar to Venus. They look like the same symbol, except for Mercury has the little hat on because he just flies around everywhere and spreads messages and communicates. And Mercury is in the energy of Taurus, where he is currently retrograding. Now, Mercury is the energy of what we like to talk about, how we like to talk, the way in which we communicate or speak, who we want to be around and socialize with. And at the beginning of the month, Mercury's retrograde. He is in Taurus. He's backing up. He is shifting his energy. But by the time we get to the end of the month, he's out of his retrograde, he's full steam ahead, he's gained all this knowledge and information, and we feel more aligned with the decisions that we're making because we had the information that we needed to make the proper decision in our life. Mercury's retrograde has been a very interesting one because when he started his retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus, he bumped into Uranus. Remember, I keep saying Uranus was a key player this month. Bumped into Uranus. So there was sudden shocking news, unexpected information. Something was revealed that we didn't see before. And now Mercury, our mind, we have to go back retrograde and relearn something or have a conversation with someone or redo a contract or a negotiation we made. Maybe we have to rethink about a purchase that we were wanting to make, but now this sudden information came upon us at the beginning of Mercury's retrograde. Now he's backing up all the way till 5 degrees of Taurus, where he's going to run into the North Node, which is at 3 degrees. And the North Node is the North Star, it's the new energy. So by the time we get this new information, it's like, oh, North Node, game ahead. It's like, oh my gosh, North Node is like green light, go, create the new, begin, do the thing that you want to do for the next chapter of your life. So it's like a boost mode as we get to May 14th when Mercury's retrograde is over and he runs into the North Node of destiny. Now, in between his retrograde, every time Mercury gets halfway through his retrograde, he runs into the sun. This is what we call the Mercury Kazimi, the halfway point. This happens on May 1st. So on May 1st, we get the revelation, the sun gets involved, the spotlight, the highlight. All of a sudden we're like, I see what information is necessary and I don't have yet. Ooh, I see how this conversation is not going well. Let me go try that again. Or maybe I need to gain even more information on this specific thing to make that decision later down the road. So we get the ahas during the Kazimi on the 1st. His retrograde ends on the 14th, and then he continues and moves along out of the energy of Taurus. So for the month of May, Mercury starts out his retrograde at 14 degrees of Taurus, and at the end of May, he is at 11 degrees on his way forward back out of Taurus. So that then leads us to talk about Venus. Venus is so important to me as a relational astrologer. She embodies how we currently are feeling about relationships, how we're interacting in those relationships, what we love, who we love, how we love is all dictated by where Venus is in the sky. And so Venus, as we begin the month of May, is in the energy of Gemini. Now, this energy is really interesting because from Venus moving from Gemini at the beginning of the month into Cancer at the end of the month is a total change, a total shift. Because Gemini is being social, being curious, networking, asking questions, having conversations with people, being a social butterfly, wanting all the friends and all the knowledge information. But then she moves into Cancer, which is the crab. And it's intuitive and it's introverted and it's going within. It's being nostalgic. It's wanting to be a homebody and scrapbook and bake and sew and just be with yourself, or maybe be with people from the past. So we have to be very careful with Venus this month, specifically our relationships, because we are moving from social Gemini of getting out there, meeting new people, making new contacts, going to networking groups, learning new things. And then all of a sudden we're going into Cancer where we want to go back to what's safe, what feels secure, what feels comfortable. And we want to maybe circle back to people from our past, exes, old friendships, letting people back in because they feel nostalgic. And while Venus is doing this little journey, which she does about once a year as she moves through all 12 zodiac signs, this time around, she's having some influence by these two life coaches, the ones stuck in Pisces. When Venus moves out of Gemini at the beginning of the month, she is in a square with Neptune. And any square with Neptune is a little challenging because remember, Neptune is illusion, is fantasy, is deception, is foggy, haziness. We're putting people on pedestals. We're seeing them with rose-colored glasses. So be very careful with your relationships with these new people, these new social people, these new networks, these people that you're out learning and meeting for the first time, very Gemini energy. And not putting them too much on a Neptune pedestal. So be very careful, like I said, the first 2 weeks of the month with this. But the beauty is, when Venus on the 7th moves into the energy of Cancer, she's going to be in a trine with Saturn. Trines are harmonious aspects. It's when one planet assists in and helps the other planet. And Saturn, like I said, isn't super comfortable in Pisces because he's like rigid and cold and disciplinarian. And Pisces is empathic and sensitive and loving and compassionate. It's actually where Venus loves to be. So Saturn is like, hey, I know I'm in your home sign over here in Pisces. I know this is where you like to be, so I'm willing to work with you, Venus. And I know you've been through it in your relationships, right? You've been through it. You've been putting people on pedestals. You've been not seeing clearly. People are kind of being deceptive with you. And now you're understanding that. So let me, Saturn, help you create boundaries, figure out who you want to commit to, figure out the rules of the game in this relationship with the other person. What are you willing to stand for and not? What are the structures that this relationship needs to live in so that can have a healthy foundation for you to continue on with this person? So after the 7th, as Venus moves into this trine with Saturn, our relationships are going to become more stabilized, more somber, more serious, more like really reflecting and looking at what wants to stick around and what doesn't. So Venus is really going to be in a different energy from Gemini, hazy, foggy, social butterfly, to kind of tough cookie energy and going within, being introverted and nostalgic and just figuring out intuitively, Cancer is ruled by the moon, intuitively what relationships I want to have a stronger foundation in and which ones maybe I should not be as committed to. That is very Saturn lessons. And that leads us then into talking about Mars. Mars is in the zodiac energy of Cancer as we begin the month, where Venus will be showing up. And Mars is our masculine, our chi, our stamina, our drive, how we're making decisions and how we're taking action. And Mars starts out the month in Cancer, a water energy, where he's kind of swimming against the tide. He's not as active. And we're making decisions, again, based on intuition because he's in Cancer, ruled by the moon. So as you're trying to make decisions this month, and as you're trying to figure things out since the month of March, you've been kind of going about it in a slower way. You've been wanting to feel into it. You wanted to feel intuitively what's right and wrong and nurture yourself through this journey because that's very Cancer energy. But by the time we get to the 20th, everything changes. This is where Mars moves into the energy of Leo and things get fiery, fiery, hot, hot, hot. Because Mars, our masculine, our chi, our stamina, has not been in a fire zodiac sign in over a year. He got stuck in Gemini, remember, for 8 months, and then he had the retrograde there. Then he got into Cancer 6 weeks ago, and he's just slow and steady. Then he gets into Leo. It's like fire, passion, grand. Leo's all about being grand and being bold and taking a risk. This is where our stamina and chi are really going to start popping off. We're really going to start getting bold and brave and leading from our heart. That's very Leo. It's going to be a beautiful shift of energy as Mars hangs out in this fire energy for 6 weeks, leading us into Venus joining him in Leo, where the sun will also join in Leo by the time we get to July, and we're going to have a Venus retrograde here. So Leo energy is starting to pick up. It's going to be popping off over the summer. We're going to get a Venus retrograde, bringing more pleasure and beauty and harmony to this area of our life. Again, depending on your birth chart. So I'm super looking forward to this energy. It will be bold and fiery in a different way from the erratic, volatile, chaotic energy that we're experiencing right now. So that is happening in the middle of the month. Something to note, as Mars moves into Leo, he is going to be opposite Pluto. And anytime you deal with Pluto, remember, it's power, it's control, it's manipulation, it's unearthing things, it's bringing secrets to light, it's bringing the skeletons out of the closet, and you're dealing with Mars, the warrior and the fighter. There might be some information that's revealed, and Mars wants to fight. Mars wants to take action. It's like, what the hell? Let's do something about this, especially now that he's in a fire energy. This kicks off on the 20th when he moves into Leo, and really for the next week, he's going to be interacting with this Pluto energy. So it's going to be some tension, opposition, that is going to force Pluto's power of personal transformation, of healing, of rising from the ashes. Pluto's now in Aquarius, so it's being innovative. This is a new way of doing things. So it's going to be a very interesting energy. And on top of that, when that happens, Jupiter, who we have not yet discussed, will be in the energy of Taurus. And this leads to Mars being in a square with Jupiter, and Jupiter being in a square with Pluto, and Pluto being in an opposition with Mars. This is what we call a T-square in astrology. And anytime you add Jupiter to something, he's like bringing fuel to the fire. He is expanding, he is growing, he is really influenced by peer pressure and makes things larger than life. And so you now have this tension between Pluto unearthing things and power and control, and Mars, the warrior, the fighter, excited to be in a fire sign. His chi is full force. So we're going to want to go down fighting for some things, especially if we unearth some truths. Jupiter is going to blow that up. Jupiter is going to expand this. So this energy, when we get to the 20th until let's say the 27th, can either be extremely beneficial and positive, and we can work with this energy and make some moves. We can empower ourselves. We can be like, damn, I need to do this thing. I'm on fire. I need to transform. Or it can be very bad and very destructive because you are fighting for things you don't need to be fighting for. You're inserting yourself where you don't need to be. You're expanding and exploding. And so just have patience and grace for people because we've been through it. We've had a Mercury retrograde. We've had the eclipses. Like, we've already been through it since March. This energy at the end of the month is really going to empower people to start taking some action with Mars being in the energy of Leo. But for the first few days of his energy through Leo, we got to deal with Pluto and we got to deal with Jupiter. 20th, he deals with Pluto. On the 23rd, he's squaring Jupiter. And then on the 25th, he's squaring the nodes of destiny. So then when we have the nodes of destiny involved, like I said, until the 27th, that is when we have to take action towards our destiny, towards our passion, towards our next chapter. So it's going to be a week from the 20th until the 27th. But we're moving forward, we're taking action. And then, like I said, let's circle back real quick to Jupiter. Jupiter, as we start out the month, is still in the energy of Aries at the tail end of Aries at 26 degrees. And he will be moving until 3 degrees of Taurus by the end of the month. This is one of the most major transits of the entire year. Jupiter has not been in Taurus in 12 years, and Jupiter brings expansion, growth, blessing, prosperity, abundance, and luck to wherever he is. And he's been blessing us with Aries energy in the Aries area of our life, but he's going to shift into Taurus on the 14th of May. And he's going to be there for an entire year. Jupiter expanding and blessing us in Taurus. Remember, the physical body, our earth, our pleasure, our sensuality. Like, this is going to be a beautiful shift. And Taurus also ruled money and the financial system. So things are going to feel a little bit more opportunistic and abundant. A whole nother video that we can talk about that energy. Now we have to remember, right before he shifts into the energy of Taurus, he will be at 29 degrees of Aries. So this will be about the 10th of May until the 14th of May. And anytime a planet is at 29 degrees, this is what we call the anaretic degree. This is when that planet goes in full power mode, and they teach any other lessons and bring any other opportunities or any other shifts before they leave that energy. So we're going to get a boost in this Aries area of our life, where we had an eclipse, where we had the astrological new year, where we had 2 new moons, where we've had Jupiter's blessing, where we had Venus bringing in abundance and luck, where we had the sun season there already. This is going to be the last Jupiter push of abundance and expansion and growth and blessing. And then from here on out, that Aries area of our life is everything that we are going to work towards and that is destined for us as the eclipses play out. But Jupiter is not going to be involved anymore, and he won't be back to Aries for 12 years. So just pay attention to what last minute pops of opportunity or blessing comes in Aries from the 10th until the 14th of May. On the 14th, Jupiter will move into the energy of Taurus, where he will be in time for the new moon there, where he will be eventually running into the North Node at the end of the month. You get Jupiter blessing prosperity, luck, expansion, and growth next to the North Node of destiny, of expansion, of a newness. So this is going to be a beautiful day, a lucky day. So put that on your calendar on the 27th. Love this energy. And eventually he'll run into Uranus, but that will be a topic for a later date. That is all the planetary shifts going on this month. You can see lots of changes, lots of conversations, understand why I was saying earlier, it's going to be a busy month, erratic month, a spontaneous, sudden jolting surprise kind of month with the ecliptic energy and Uranus heavily involved. So hopefully this all made sense. So let's go ahead now and break it down date by date. Grab your calendar, see if you have anything planned already on these days, or maybe if you need to shift some things around to work with this energy instead of against it. So the first week of May, what's in the stars from the 1st until the 6th? So starting out on May 1st, remembering May 1st, we have 2 major astrological events, one being the Mercury Kazimi, where the sun runs into Mercury. This is the halfway point in the Mercury Retrograde, where we get the ahas, we get the downloads, it's the turning point, and we get to have some resolution. Remembering it's in Taurus, so these are tangible things that we're going to do. We're going to look at things in our physical reality, maybe our money, maybe our material possessions, maybe the people in our life that we value, and we're now going to start seeing it better, clearly, and brighter with the sun being involved. Halfway point of Mercury's retrograde. Again, go watch my Mercury retrograde video for all the details of what you should do and not do. Also on that day, remember, Pluto is kicking off his retrograde. So if you have your retrograde journal, make sure you open up the page to Pluto's retrograde. It's 2 pages, journal prompts there for you to fill out, what you can expect, do's and don'ts, and all the other details. So after the 1st of the month, then we are going to move through the energy of Venus being in a square with Neptune on the 4th and the 5th. So leading up this first week, remember, be careful with relationships, be careful that you're not putting people on pedestals. Things might be foggy and hazy and daisy, and you might not know what the truth is. So just honor that as we're having Venus square Neptune during this first week of the month. Then we get to the 5th. The 5th is the eclipse. This eclipse energy we're already feeling as we move into the month, and it peaks on the 5th. Full moon lunar eclipse in the zodiac energy of Scorpio. Again, whole other video for you to catch, diving into all of those details, but it is the purging and the releasing, the surrender, the letting go, because this is the final eclipse in this energy for 9 more years. It leads us then into the 2nd week of May. So what's in the stars for the 2nd week of May from the 7th until the 13th? We kick off the week with Venus moving into the energy of Cancer. Like I mentioned, when Venus moves into Cancer, we're going to want to become introverted. We're going to want to become a homebody. We're going to go within our shell. Bake, cook, sew, paint, scrapbook, all these internal domestic things. So you might want to be doing that more in your relationship. You might want to go more into your crab shell with your partner, kind of staying at home and nurturing each other and connecting with each other. It's a very emotional energy. Also, we have to remember when Venus moves into Cancer on the 7th, she's going to be in this trine with Saturn. So this is sombering, this is getting serious, this is having those conversations that are challenging, this is putting in boundaries and committing to people in different ways. That's going to happen from the 12th to the 13th towards the end of the week. So be careful with that energy. Also be careful that you're not reaching out to exes or people from your past that you don't want to carry with you in your future. We are going to be dealing with so much volatile energy with the eclipses and this Mercury retrograde still going on that we might not be making the wisest choices. So remember, like I said, don't make any major decisions or major changes in your life until we get towards the end of the month. So be careful when Venus goes into Cancer that you don't want to go too far back in your past. Then we move to the 9th. On the 9th, the sun runs into Uranus. So that is also playing into this Saturn-Venus energy where we're having to create more discipline in relationships. And the sun, fiery hot sun, runs into Uranus. This is a very erratic, volatile day. So be very careful on the 9th of May. We might see things in the world that are dramatic. We might experience earthquakes and natural disasters because the sun running into Uranus happens in the energy of Taurus, which deals with Mother Nature and the earth. So be very careful on those days. There could literally be electrical issues or lightning issues on this day. The energy is just truly electric as the sun increases the intensity of Uranus's rebel and revolutionary kind of energy. And like I said, Taurus deals with the economy, so something we want to kind of pay attention to. And that then leads us into the 3rd week of May. So what's in the stars for the 3rd week of May? This is a nice week. This is where things kind of smooth out a little bit. So I'm looking forward to this little break in between the eclipse retrograde volatility and Mars moving into Leo dealing with Pluto and Jupiter. So the 14th through the 20th is just kind of nice. As nice as it can be, let's say. So on the 14th, we have Mercury going direct. He comes out of retrograde, things clear up. You can go ahead now and make those purchases, sign those contracts, renegotiate things, have those conversations, make decisions, do all the Mercury things now that Mercury is direct on the 14th. 2 days later, Jupiter moves into the energy of Taurus. So looking forward to this energy. I will probably make an entire video just on Jupiter in Taurus if I don't do that here on YouTube. You can catch that over on my TikTok channel at The Relational Astrologer, where I just do short format kind of videos, giving you the cliff notes of what you need to know, and then coming over here to YouTube and giving you the detailed information. So I love this energy of Jupiter in Taurus. Embodying sensuality, figuring out what we value, bringing more pleasure into our life, acquiring assets and resources and things that we want to carry with us into our future. Taurus is the bull, so it's steady and stubborn and stable and strong, and so we're going to be building some new foundations. And Jupiter is just going to bless us and expand us and grow us. So wherever that falls in your birth chart, that is your area of life that's going to get this beautiful Jupiter visitation for an entire year. Now remember, when Jupiter moves into this energy of Taurus, he's going to immediately square Pluto, where it's going to be setting up the scene for Mars on the 20th to jump into Leo and create this T-square volatile energy. So it really starts out with Jupiter entering Taurus on the 16th and 17th, saying, hey Pluto, you ready to drop these bombs? When Mars shows up to take action, when Mars, the warrior and the fighter, comes in with his stamina and chi, and he's excited to be in a fire energy, yeah, we're setting the scene. And so really what does that look like is Jupiter, remember, expands and grows, and Pluto's going to unearth and bring secrets to light. So we got to be very careful on the 17th that this is going on in the background. It's not taking action yet until the 20th, but it's starting in the background. So pay attention to your energy around that time and what you're starting to notice around you. Now we get to the 19th and the 20th where we have the new moon in Taurus. That is that new moon. I'm telling you, I'm loving so many good positive things going on at that time. Again, I will make a separate video diving into all the details, giving you new moon activities and helping you navigate this new beginning, new energy. So I love that. That is the third week of May. All good things kind of going on at this time. Now we move into the fourth week of May. So what's in the stars for the fourth week of May from the 20th until the 27th? This is where things get fiery. This is where things start picking up and being intense, but they're in alignment with our purpose, our passion, our heart, because it deals with Leo energy. So starting out on the 20th, Mars moves into Leo. Again, opposite Pluto, running into a square with Jupiter, kicking off that T-square energy that we already talked about. So pay attention on the 20th, things are gonna start picking up. And then on the 21st, the day after, is when the sun moves into the energy of Gemini. Gemini being social and learning and understanding and being curious and exploring and being out with people and networking. So this fire energy of Leo, we're going to want to, with the sun, get out and be around people and network and connect. So be careful that you're not being too fiery or too bold or too passionate or too aggressive when you're getting out with people when the sun moves into Gemini. Now, luckily, we are a little bit more lighthearted when the sun is in Gemini, but this time around, he is in a square with Saturn. Also something to pay attention to because we're going to have to step into some responsibility. The sun is going to highlight how we need to be responsible and held accountable and what rules and structure and discipline we need to have around our social life, dealing with Gemini. Gemini also deals with our mentality and the way that we think and the way that we learn. So Saturn is going to be enforcing some boundaries and rules on how we are gaining knowledge. This could be via social media since Gemini deals with social media. So there might be some things you have to learn towards the end of the month about boundaries around how often to hang out with people, what people you want to hang out with, what you're committing to, and then your social media being with the energy of the sun in Gemini. So pay attention to that and maybe implement that beforehand so Saturn Lord Karma doesn't have to teach you the hard way. And then, like I said, we get to the 23rd where Mars is directly in a square with Jupiter and Pluto energy going on. So it's going to intensify even more by the 23rd. And then we kind of wrap up the month and get to the 27th. And that kind of goes out with a beautiful culmination because on that day, Jupiter runs into the North Node of Destiny. So dealing with the North Node is new beginnings, new fresh starts, green light go, and Jupiter is expansion and blessing and growth and prosperity. And he just got to Taurus, so what a boost. It's like when you're racing cars in a video game and you go over the little like speed band and you get like a full boost ahead. That is how Jupiter is entering into Taurus with the North Node of like new beginnings in Taurus, new, fresh, beautiful expansion, luck, blessing, and prosperity. And that's really going to kick off on the 27th at the end of the month. That is overview of the month ahead. I know there was a lot. I know it is overwhelming. It was very challenging to put together a video like this with clear, concise information when there's so many moving pieces, so much busyness, everyone's up to something. But I hope this was helpful. So please let me know in the comments below, what areas of life Taurus falls for you depending on your rising sign. If you don't know, you can just tell me your rising sign and I'll comment back on what area of life this Taurus energy, this Mercury retrograde, Uranus sun conjunction, all that's going on for you. Also, please let me know if you have any important things on your calendar for the dates that we mentioned in today's video and how you plan to navigate that now that you have this information. So I would love to know that. And I will just wrap it up by saying if you are interested in a personal birth chart reading, I am doing a special for the month of May. Anyone that books a full birth chart reading will have the choice of either getting a complimentary Astrology Retrograde journal, and I will send that out to you immediately, or a follow-up 30-minute recorded video that you can use at any point in time for the rest of the year. So if you want to do like an astro forecast update later in the year, maybe you want to gift it to somebody, or maybe you want to do like a compatibility reading, anyone that books a full chart analysis in the month of May will get a 30-minute complimentary reading for me to use. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me here or via my social media. And I did start a new Instagram page called The Relational Astrologer, so please follow me over there where I will be posting my specials, astro weather updates, any other fun astrology content. So I will see you over there. And make sure you like and subscribe so you're notified when my eclipse video and new moon videos go live, and more videos on relationships and astrology. I have a whole list here of things that I want to share with you: astrology through the dating process, how to understand your partner's moon sign, and more pertaining to relationships. So thank you all so much for allowing me to be your guide from the Cosmo energy to your soul, and sending you so much love and light as you navigate the month of May. So I will catch you in the next video.